A troubled meeting. Zelensky faces Trump in the Oval Office. The Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky was fraught with tension. The meeting, intended to showcase unity, quickly devolved into a display of discord. Trump and his Vice President, J.D. Vance, aggressively questioned Zelensky's commitment to ending the war. They criticized his strategies and demanded more concrete results. Zelensky, visibly shaken by the attacks, struggled to maintain his composure. This very public dressing down marked a turning point in U.S.-Ukraine relations. It signaled a potential shift in American foreign policy and left the future of Ukraine hanging precariously in the balance. This confrontation, witnessed by a handful of aides and documented in hushed whispers, sent shockwaves through Washington. It was a stark departure from the previous administration's unwavering support for Ukraine. The meeting exposed the deep cracks that had formed within the Western alliance since Trump's return to power. The world watched with bated breath, uncertain of what this meant for the future of Ukraine and the global order. The Oval Office confrontation was not an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a larger trend within American politics. Key figures within the Trump administration began to openly question Zelensky's leadership and Ukraine's strategic importance. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, in a particularly scathing remark, compared Zelensky to a failed ex-girlfriend. House Speaker Mike Johnson echoed these sentiments, suggesting that Zelensky might need to be replaced if he didn't align with American goals. This shift in rhetoric was fueled by a confluence of factors. Trump, known for his isolationist instincts and disdain for foreign entanglements, had never been fully on board with the level of support Ukraine was receiving. Furthermore, the conflict, now in its third year, had become a political liability. The American public, weary of endless wars and economic uncertainty, was growing increasingly skeptical of continued involvement. While America wavered, Europe stood firm. Leaders across the continent rallied around Zelensky, offering both rhetorical and material support. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in a powerful display of solidarity, promised to build a coalition of the willing to stand by Ukraine. He pledged billions in new military aid, including thousands of air defense missiles. King Charles III, in a symbolic gesture of support, granted Zelensky an audience at Buckingham Palace. This transatlantic divide was not simply about optics. It reflected fundamentally different worldviews and strategic calculations. European leaders, geographically closer to the conflict and acutely aware of Russia's imperial ambitions, understood the stakes of the conflict in visceral terms. They saw Ukraine as a frontline state in a larger struggle for European security and the rules-based international order. America, geographically distant and preoccupied with domestic challenges, seemed to have lost sight of the bigger picture. The Oval Office showdown cast a long shadow over the future of Ukraine and the Western alliance. The prospect of American disengagement, once unthinkable, became a terrifying reality. Rumors swirled about potential cuts to military aid, intelligence sharing, and diplomatic support. The Kremlin, sensing weakness, seized the opportunity to sow further discord. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov, echoing the words of American officials, suggested that Zelensky needed to be forced to change his stance. The implications of this transatlantic rift are profound and far-reaching. For Ukraine, American support is a matter of survival. Without it, the country faces the grim prospect of being abandoned in its hour of need. For Europe, the implications are no less significant. The continent is forced to confront the uncomfortable reality of its own strategic vulnerability and the limits of its hard power. The West, already divided and disoriented, risks further fragmentation. The rules-based international order, already under assault, teeters on the brink.